Hi there, this is Josh McKinnon with McKinnonHomes.ca, brokered by eXp Realty, and today we're talking real estate forms, specifically Consumer Relationship Guide. All right, the Consumer Relationship Guide. What is it, and why is it so important? Well, let's take a look and let me explain. The Consumer Relationship Guide explains what agency is, how people can get into agency, maybe not even knowing so, but how agency can actually be formalized with contracts as well. So let's talk about agency. Well, the first important point here is choosing to have an agent. So an agent is someone who acts on your behalf with your permission. So sometimes that agent can be a brokerage, an entire brokerage, and sometimes it can be an individual person working within a brokerage. So because I am in a brokerage that works that way, we call it designated agency. That means when you hire me and I work through the brokerage. And I still have to follow all the rules of the brokerage. I still have a boss, but he doesn't own the listing, and he's the one who ultimately is responsible for a lot of things, but he makes sure that I have my share of responsibilities, and some of those are listed here. So when you hire someone to help you either purchase a home or sell a home, let's talk about both at the same time. So you hire an agent and they're acting as a sole agent. That's how all agencies act. When we're talking about this, that's how everyone is going to go into this normally. And you're looking to hire us to do certain tasks for you. Now, as an agent, it talks about being undivided loyalty, confidentiality, full disclosure, obedience, reasonable care and skill, and full accounting. So that's a communication, as well as sometimes the brokerage is holding money on behalf of either a buyer or a seller. Now, under sole agency, this is not a problem. We can keep everything confidential. We can, fully disclose everything to you. We can be obedient to you. We can apply reasonable care and skill and full accounting. But there are times when other things may happen. So let's talk about those. Conflicts of interest. When could that happen? Well, that sometimes happens when buyers and sellers want to use the same agent. So they say, well, you have the home for sale and I just want you to help me buy it. Let's go through the process. Well, here's the problem. How can I give undivided loyalty? There's things I know about the seller that I'm not allowed to tell because that comes under confidentiality. And you as the buyer, there may be things I know about you that you don't want me to tell. So I can keep things confidential. I can make sure that there's full disclosure, obedience. I can be obedient. I can even have reasonable care and skill and full accounting. But the one place I can't is undivided loyalty. I started a relationship with the seller, and then I have a buyer. Now, maybe I even started it with the buyer. Maybe the buyer's looking for something, and then I listed a property. They're like, I'd like to see that property. So it can happen either way. So here's the thing. When something like that happens, we have to stop and decide, how can we go forward? There's only two real ways to do that if you want to continue using my help. So what can happen is sometimes we could say, you know what, you can go use someone else's help, and then I'll continue helping this person. I'm going to continue helping the seller in this example. And you as a buyer, I can send you to another real estate agent who's competent, who can help you, and they can look after that for you. Okay, that's one way. So then another way we could deal with it is that you could still use the same agent, but in a different way. So I could give sole agency to, say, the seller, continue looking after their best interest, and then you, if you're sophisticated and we talk about it and it seems like you can handle yourself well, you could accept a consumer relationship, or customer relationship, sorry, which I'll explain. And that would just make you a customer, allowing you to make your own decisions, which you're going to anyway. I'm not going to tell you what to do, and I don't tell the seller what to do. We help educate and make sure that you know what you want to do. But ultimately, in that case, you would be a consumer, and you know, I could give you some help, but there's other things I can't do for you, right? And that's another way. A third way, another way would be, let's say both decide, we want you to just transact. We run the transaction. The seller agrees, you know what, I'm okay with you doing this. The buyer agrees, yes, I'm okay doing this. And we're going to make our decisions, and we're not going to get you to give us any information about either person. And we have bought and sold enough that we feel like we can handle that on our own. But just go ahead, put the deal together, because we just want to do a deal. And I will ask a few questions to make sure that you do understand what you're getting involved with. There's other paperwork to do if that happens. So, you know, all that comes into it. So all of those are in here. Now, it talks about here making an informed choice. So before we start any contracts, this is the very first piece of paper we're going to look at. We'll discuss this, and in most cases, we'll be able to start out as a sole agent with the idea that if it happens, we'll have to have more of a conversation and we'll be going through more paperwork. Of course, everyone has to agree along the way. Maybe I don't feel confident, or I don't feel good about looking after two people at the same time, and maybe it's me that wants to make sure someone else is involved. So sometimes it's okay and I have no problem doing it, but other times it can change, and maybe it is the buyer or the seller that wants to choose. Either way, transacting or making a good decision in a real estate process all starts with you understanding. So it's only 2 pages long, but I can tell you this is one of the most important documents that we'll go through. And if you are signing this digitally, you'll have wanted to go through this video just to make sure you understand. If you have any questions at all, we'll be talking about that. But you really do need to understand that sometimes it changes along the way. And that's okay. It's not a bump in the road even. We just change the direction we go, and we make sure everyone knows and that we're all on the same page. All right, that's the Consumer Relationship Guide in a nutshell.